Well, very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Spectrum Extra, coming to you live on Radio 1 FM 90. This being a Friday, we review the major events of the week, and this week has been dominated with the debate on rationalization. Well, we know government took a decision. It reviewed a total of 157 agencies, and they took a decision that out of those, 60 of them would be rationalized and 97 would be retained. Now, we know there were implications on the workers who were in those institutions. They said they will spend some money to actually settle them, especially those that do not find their way within the government system, and we're told they will be spending 74 billion shillings. Now, according to President Yoweri Museveni, at the time when this exercise began, rationalization would help the country to save 1 trillion shillings annually. Now, we know this matter has been ongoing in Parliament, where the bills to actually rationalize the entities were presented. There was a tug of war at the start when MPs rejected the idea of rationalizing UCDA, Dairy Development Authority, Cotton Development Organization, NADS, alongside UNRA, Forest Authority, and the Uganda Road Fund. There was a caucus called, and following a heated discussion, the MPs for the NRM decided to support the rationalization process. But then we have seen people have been raising questions about UCDA, including people who were in charge of this particular sector, that is agriculture, when UCDA came into being. At that time, the Minister of Agriculture was the Honorable Victoria Sechitoleko. She was on this show actually this week, where she actually expressed her fears, saying there's no need to remove UCDA because UCDA is actually making money. Then we also heard from Dr. Ezra Suruma, who did serve at one time as finance minister, who also said he does not understand why they are phasing out UCDA, given the fact that it is still relevant based on the reasons which were fronted at the time it was actually being put in place. Well, President Yoweri Museveni has insisted UCDA must go. He has said that he has fought battles before and overcome those who have actually been challenging him. And he said he has always emerged victorious. We know the opposition has taken a stand. They will not be accepting UCDA to be rationalized. Actually, the other day, they pushed for a vote in Parliament, and a decision was taken. The people who were supporting the rationalization had the day. The bill went to the second stage, but the House was adjourned sine die. And today, President Yoweri Museveni held a caucus meeting with the NRM people in Kisozi. So we'll be waiting to see what will be happening next week in Parliament, who will have the last say on the issues of UCDA. But the bigger picture is the opposition has for long been calling for a lean government. They have talked about the need to reduce the number of ministers, cabinet ministers, reduce the size of parliament, reduce the number of RDCs who now have deputies, but even assistants. They have talked about presidential advisors and a number of issues. So the other question we'll be asking, are we getting it right when we are doing this rationalization? Are we focusing on the right places? I have a panel of 4. The 3 are already in studio. Let me introduce the Honorable Muhammadi Mwanga Chivumbi. He is the MP for Butambala County. He is the chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. He also chairs the Buganda Caucus in Parliament. He's one of those people who has been leading the fight to block the rationalization of UCDA. Good evening, Honorable Chivumbi. Thank you very much for joining us. This is your maiden appearance on this show.
No, I'm not a president of any party. I belong to National Unity Platform. Oh, Banyinzaki, you are so lost like that. That's why you are proposing to merge coffee.
Well, that's the voice of the Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi. Thank you very much for joining us.
Nice to be here, and I hope we shall have a good time and a good discussion.
Also in studio, the Honorable Henry Banyezachi, Director Operation Wealth Creation, Office of the President. He did serve this country as a minister in charge of economic monitoring, and he was also Rwanda West MP. Good evening, Honorable Banyezachi. Thank you very much for joining us. Here in studio,
my brother. You are in Noop.
He's in Noop.
You recruit me and we make this the governance of this country.
For the record, Honorable Banyezachi belongs to the NRM.
We don't recruit.
No, for a record, I am a nationalist. I am a nationalist.
You don't belong to any political party?
I am a nationalist working for Operation Wealth Creation. I'm as good as a civil servant who doesn't belong to any party. But I'm available for NUP. You can come. Recruit me. I'm available.
We don't recruit.
And then we vibrate. we make the vibration.
We'll wait and see.
The earthquakes
Be like,
into the political scenario of this
be
country.
like Chairman Mao.
Uh-huh.
They told him, ask him when did he join Deng.
Then what's Deng?
Deng was a revolutionary leader of China.
Uh-huh.
You know, Chairman Mao. I mean, Chairman Mao.
Chairman Mao of China.
Of China.
Okay.
So they asked Deng, who was a former prime minister, how did he join Chairman Mao? Deng, yes. How did he join Chairman Mao? Mao was a revolutionary leader.
Yes.
He said he came to his village. He talked. He listened. He heard. Okay? He followed.
Deng followed.
Deng followed.
Mao.
Deng followed Mao.
So he came,
So
he talked, he listened.
So maybe Honorable Banyizachi is waiting for you to go to his village.
No, we are now village here.
I've met him here. I'm going to talk. You listen,
And you'll follow.
and you'll follow.
You also have an opportunity to. I'm going to talk, listen, follow, because I'm for rationalization.
All right. Also,
So I'm on record. To start with, I'm the Archbishop of Rationalization.
all right. We'll hear more about
You,
that.
for you are just a catechist.
I am the architect.
Also in studio, Ms. Perry Aritua, Executive Director, Women Democracy Network, Uganda chapter, Pandit on governance and human rights issues. Good evening, Perry. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, Kenneth, my fellow panelists and listeners. Nice to be here.
All right. Our fourth guest is on the way. He has just been attending the NRM caucus. Hopefully, he will be here on time to actually feed us in on what has transpired there. Now, let's begin from the top. What I've been asking people here this week was to give us their position in principle, whether they stand for rationalization or not. And let's begin with you, Honorable Banyizachi. The government of Uganda took a decision to carry out rationalization. You've been following what has been happening. People have said there have been some delays. Some people have said they have not been serious looking at what they have decided to rationalize. But let's hear your take. What's your position on the entire issue?
Kenneth and Chuvumbi and my co-panelists, love me or hate me, I am the architect of the rationalization. When I was in Parliament, I always advocated for a lean government. When I went in cabinet for 5 years, all my prayers was to have a lean government. Fast forward, I left cabinet, I left Parliament, I went to serve in OWC. OWC is more or less like a think tank, but plus other things that we do. In our think tank in 2015, I think, 2015, 2016, we camped to trim the expenditure, what we used to call it that. These agencies were a forced estate. The government was no longer functional. What was functional was the agencies. And these agencies created demigods within government. And when they created demigods within the government, they could even decide on their budget, they could even decide on what to do. So we pinched to trim the executive arm of the government, the technical arm of government. And our thinking and our following was we are going to trim the technical arm of the government and president trim the administrative sector of government, the political sector. Fast forward, it took us about 3 years debate and the cabinet took up. It was like a private member's bill within the cabinet and cabinet took up. I can assure you I was reading this crusade. Because I was reading it in Parliament, reading it in the cabinet, I had an opportunity to lead it, I sold it and it was accepted. Fast forward, when it was accepted, I said, yes, This is it. But the most unfortunate part of it, this whole thing of rationalization, is being, what do I say it? Is being mutilated into political dynamics. And now we are now here talking about UCD. What is UCDA? UCDA cannot go into Minister of Agriculture. Where is it? Honorable Chivumbi, where is UCDA? UCDA is an agency within Minister of Agriculture. The political administrator, the political overseer of UCDA is the Minister of Agriculture. The technical head of UCDA is the permanent secretary, Minister of Agriculture. The top management of UCDA is in Minister of Agriculture. UCDA is in the Minister of Agriculture. So the arrangement of this UCDA is in Minister of Agriculture. So the Minister of Agriculture is having a reorganization.
Really?
To trim, yes, to trim this expenditure of these agencies. You had NADS. What was NADS? NADS was a contracts committee giving tenders. That's all. If we could take it wider, UNRA, which I had people praising, what does UNRA do? UNRA is a contracts committee. It sits, awards contracts to a Chinese, to a Turkey. It comes to supervision. It gives to consultancy of somewhere, a resettlement package, a contract of some people somewhere, supervision, contracts of engineers somewhere. Yet we have very able-bodied and thinking, technical, educated engineers in Ministry of Education. So if it means to have that contracts committee,
Minister of Works.
yes, if it means to have that technical committee of giving tender, of awarding, put it in the ministry. That is all. The supervision arm of the Ministry of Work, you will not even need to have anybody. Those who designed roads, and to make it worse, once you give those contracts to these Chinese, they get the very guys within the ministry, hook them up to go and work for them. Very absurd. Look, when you go to an institution like NIRA, I don't know whether even NIRA White survived. NIRA, they just picked a department within the Ministry of Internal Affairs, lifted it, put it in Kororo, in tents. Then they says, you are NIRA now. And it's the same kind of function that was doing in the ministry. They lifted them from Ginger Road to Kororo to perform the same function, and at a very extraordinary amount of money. Now, the salaries were hiked, everything was hiked. Now, they live where? Internal Affairs. Their colleagues, grassing. Engineers in UNRA, highly paid, 10 times. In the ministry, grassing. You go to NADS, technical people in the Ministry of Agriculture. What does UCDA, the heartbeat of UCDA, the utterance, the nerve of UCDA are the extension workers who are based at the sub-county. So if we want to make UC coffee sector productive, reinforce and build the capacity of the extension workers at the district level, the argument should even be that now that we have saved money that was going in UCDA, let's even have extension workers at a sub-county level, because they will teach people, they will give the people the capacity how to grow coffee and how to manage coffee. And the other thing, when we are talking of UCDA, what has UCDA done? When you're talking about seedlings, who was giving seedlings? This seedlings money was coming from the government of Uganda. It was not UCDA giving it. When the cathedral comes up, umwanyi telimba, ngagamba, abaganda, mulimo umwanyi, endokwa ziva mu government. We had a project called Agriculture Cluster Development Project, which was being managed within UCDA. It was a loan from World Bank. Its performance was on 23%. So this organization, there are so many. Talk about milk sector. What do they call it? Uganda Dairy Authority.
Dairy Development Authority.
Dairy Development Authority. do you need the farmers, wherever they are, this kind of stuff? You need the extension workers, you need the veterinary doctors at the sub-county level, at the parish level, to manage the vaccination, etc., to take care of these animals. There are some, you said we did how many? Now, and in the process of this, when this happened, I can give you the background of these agencies. When World Bank wanted to, World Bank and these Bazungus, IMF, wanted to make the government inefficient, they chose to have their own system through which they work with. So they established an alternative line whom they work with. Those are the agencies. Because they are the ones who would call the shot, then we make loans, then we secured loans. For every agency that was formed, there was a loan that was undertaken from World Bank to have this agency put in place. That is why we have our debt burden that has gone high, very, very, very high because of these agencies. You get? Now, they left the government as a shell. They created another, in our language we call it a false estate. They created a false estate, a false arm of government through agencies. Now these agencies become, so that is the whole story.
You see, the biggest issue you'll have to respond to. The biggest issue you'll have to respond to. It's the very government that you're speaking for that created these entities, took bills in parliament. Some of these entities were put in place by acts of parliament.
Exactly.
Should we say then from the start the NRM government
I would have expected my brother
was not clear-sighted?
The debate I would have expected my brother Kivumbi, and I want to talk, listen, and then we go in the same corner. Brother, take the debate to parliament and cast the executive. Yes, you have said you are trimming wasteful expenditure in the technical arm. Can we now have a lean administrative structures within the government, the way you have done these agencies, say in the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Works, these ministries. There are ministries, you don't need, there are ministries which is the cabinet itself. When you look at the Prime Minister's office, it is a cabinet itself. How many ministers there are there, Honorable?
There are many, I can't count.
There are about 8.
My brother, there are more than 10. They will sit and make a cabinet meeting. That's where the debate should be. What is the minister over? What is the Prime Minister's office role? Prime Minister's role is coordination and harmonization of government program. Coordination and harmonization. But in this coordination, for each and every, they have created a minister. They are now implementers. You get? You go in another ministry, same story. Another ministry, same story.
You go to State House.
Go to State House, same story. Go to State House. Each every thing has a monitoring of something. NADS monitoring, minerals monitoring, something monitoring, media monitoring,
Operation Wealth Creation.
Operation Wealth Creation. Manya what? I think if I were you, Chivumbi, I would have used this was an open check for you to get the government arm, the technical arm, get the bull by its horns and say, okay, we agree with rationalization. Can we rationalize the political arm?
All right.
When you have no idea, when we are saving now, this rationalization of these agencies, it will save about 1 trillion there. Okay? But if you rationalize the political arm, you would save more. You could even save like 3 trillion.
All right.
And when you save this 3 trillion, where do you put this money? In the productive sector.
All right.
In the very sector that you are advocating for.
All right.
Put this money to agriculture, put this money into dairy,
all right,
put this money into crop, put this money in all these sectors, which is the productive sector. So now, the debate we're having now, I want us, this narrative to change, and we take on the government.
All right. Thank you very much.
That's why I say I came here as a nationalist.
Thank you very much, Honorable
I'll be part
Banyezachi.
of you to take them on.
Let's now go for a break. When we return, we'll hear from Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi whether he's buying what you're actually selling to him. Now, stay tuned, Radio 1 FM 90, but keep your comments coming via the WhatsApp line, which is 0703-090-090. Give us that question or comment, and the panelists in studio will respond to you. Spectrum Xtra continues after this. Well, thank you so much for staying with us on Spectrum Xtra live on Radio 1 FM 90. We are supposed to be reviewing the major events of the week, and indeed we are doing that by focusing on the debate on rationalization, looking at what has been trending this week. Mainly people have been talking about UCDA, but this is a bigger matter because there have been other agencies that have been rationalized, but we also have others in the pipeline that will be considered in due course. My guest this evening, Honorable Henry Banyezachi, Director Operation Wealth Creation, Office of the President, former Minister of Economic Monitoring and Rwanda West MP, Ms. Perry Aritua, Executive Director, Women Democracy Network, Uganda Chapter, Pundit on Governance and Human Rights Matters. Coming on the mic now is Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, Tambala County MP, Chairman Public Accounts Committee, Chairman Buganda Caucus, but also a member of the National Unity Platform Party. He did also serve as the Shadow Minister of Finance not so long ago. Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, you heard from Honorable Banyenzaki making a passionate call for you to actually consider...
Actually, he's wasting his time.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you are wasting your time.
Oh.
The case for rationalization does not need to be made. Okay? The case for rationalization is just how you implement it.
So it is a very correct way.
So a case for rational, you don't need even to make a case for rationalization. It's self-evident. It's self-evident, and therefore all of you who are wasting time making a justification and rationalizing, giving a rationale for rationalization are simply time wasters. It's already a made case. It's self-evident.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing. That's what I've told you, that those of you who are wasting our time, and I've had so many when in the coffee debate who have tried to bring the general debate on rationalization. You are wasting our time.
Okay.
And you should stop wasting time, because that is self-evident. This country needs radical structural reforms across all sectors, across all structures of government. Radical, okay? Radical reforms, parliament, governments, so many things need to change. Instead, actually, you are not radical enough.
Yeah.
And if you monitored my speech, I said, even when in parliament the first go, is that this government is still joking, and you are not seriously implementing rationalization. You are cherry picking. Now you've just said, so I'm here to make not to make a case for rationalization. I'm here to make a case that UCDA, much as I am for rationalization, like you have the 97 agencies you are not rationalizing, UCDA should, as of now, be
among those ones. But,
that's the case I'm here to make.
All right.
I'm not here to make a general case for rationalization, because I'm an advocate
all right.
of a lean, efficient government.
All right.
And I would like to correct you from the word go.
All right.
Because I had also you getting things wrong. That the opposition, no. In the effort to save UCDA, there were even NRM MPs. The report of the Committee of Agriculture, actually, when you read the body and the spirit of the report, it was for non-rationalization of UCDA. And let me kneel down, non-rationalization is for non-dissolution and banning of UCDA. Because let me take things for what they are. Because rationalization, apex, is broader. RAPEX is broader. It goes beyond agencies. It has so many other ingredients, which is a good thing. Now, but a case, for every rule there is an exception. Like I said and put it right, it took Operation Wealth, if it did, be very careful, because the president is also saying he's the Pope, he's the architect of this thing. He may fire you for saying you are the one, not him. but that is for another day. Now,
He works through
certain things are not done by the known knowns. You are saying there is a Ministry of Planning, there is a National Planning Authority, but it took you in Operation Wealth Creation to come up with RAPEX.
We worked with them.
No. Otherwise, the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development, with the whole minister dedicated, by the way, you have a state minister dedicated for planning, should have been the one to do it.
Can I make a statement?
No. Let me get you. Should have been the one to do it. There is an agency of government called the National Planning Authority. It did not do. So, no. Certain things to be done are done by certain agencies or individuals out of the mainstream. Let me get you on your own submission.
Let's allow him.
The fact that I know you are getting agitated before I even go midway. The fact that it took you to work outside the main structure of government, okay, to come up with this RAPEX. So is the case that for every rule there is a first of all, it was a vote of no confidence in the ministries. And in the Ministry of Finance, there is a secretariat for planning, a whole secretariat. And you have the National Planning Authority.
You also have
to remove a
Office of the Prime Minister,
let me tell you,
which does coordination.
No. To remove, you should read my report on PAC, what I wrote on the Office of the Prime Minister. Exactly what you are saying is what I wrote. The Minister of Prime Minister's office should run away from implementation of government program. We wrote this. Read our report this financial year. You get so on those things. We even tell the office of the president should restrict itself for what it is.
Exactly.
We also wrote that State House should now be official home of the president. And I know you don't want to go there. Don't run a classified budget there. Don't run all these other names, innovations in the home of a president. They could go, if you want, take them to the office of the president.
Exactly.
And let State House be a residence of the man.
Absolutely.
Of the man. But it now consumes...
Of the woman.
No, it now consumes, under the office of the President State House, we are now consuming a 1 trillion, which with an expenditure of 2 billion per day, now they are going to be 3 per day, in the name of office of the president. And for you, State House, home of the president, let me call it home of the president.
Yes.
When you read the mandate of State House, because every institution has a mandate, is to take the welfare of the head of state, and that is all. Now, so those of you advocating for RAPEX, the biggest chunk of the money, because if I tell you with the operation, how were you being paid? You are being paid on classified expenditure.
No,
I know you Kapeka fellows. Please, don't make me say things I'm not supposed to say legally. So, I was saying, all of you who are fed on this shoulder money should be done with, and all the money, including banning you.
For the good of the nation.
Yes, banning you, because you should have dissolved yourself very fast. Before, and we hear you saying I've also left because I believe what I'm doing is wrong, but you are seated there making a case. So it is hypocrisy for you people and pretense for you people. No, it's not the question. I've told you the question of rationalization is now beyond a debate. It is how it is being done. Okay? Now, you should have set the right tone. The president of Uganda, if you wanted to be believed, should not even have started with the harder things that require
amending the constitution,
amending the laws. There are
Repealing
those low-hanging fruits by decree, by executive order. He could have implemented.
Absolutely.
Remove this. Even RDCs. What is an RDC doing in a district where there is an elected chairman? Should you head of security? There is a DISO. There is a DPC. So how do you have 3 RDCs? In my district, I have 4 RDCs. What are they doing there? For heaven's sake, stop setting up government structures where you have no funding capability. You elect people, mayors, whatever, you don't fund them. So, but now for me, that's why I've said that he has even said things the public didn't know. And advantageously, he has talked about them. The current push for rationalization is not in a belief. It's dictated by the donor community cutting off aid.
The what?
Donor community.
Which one?
And having borrowed to the... I know, this government is very broke. It has gone to the extent it can no longer service its debt. Because last financial year, you see, no, please, last financial year,
Can I help you?
no, you'll help me. Last financial year alone, the debt of government in the Bank of Uganda stood at 7 trillion. Government of Uganda was penalized 450 billion for failure to reimburse. What the public don't know, that when the donors come calling and their money follows due on time, because interest rate amortization is on dot. If it is now, the money must be
now.
there. So Bank of Uganda, which is the bank for government, clears instantly on behalf of government.
Which becomes a debt.
Now, government, under a memorandum of understanding, he knows what they do, is supposed to reimburse within a given time. Oh, what money? Now, what happened in the so many financial years is that government of Uganda would not have the money to reimburse Bank of Uganda for the money it has paid to
service the loans.
To service our loans. So that means at present, because we have borrowed, because it's self-evident, our debt far outstrips our revenue collection. Our discretionary budget, he knows the discretionary budget, has gone as low as 18 trillion out of the 74 billion. Now, this is the situation where they are in a panic mode to even do things the wrong way, to even touch agencies that they should not have touched. Therefore, I'm here today, and I know he talks about the Ministry of Agriculture. The Ministry of Agriculture, today, I've just audited them. They have 11 projects. Even as it is, it has 11 donor-funded projects. On the face of it, the Ministry of Agriculture got like 300 and something billion. But their actual budget is near 1 trillion. Do you know why? Because of project finance. Okay. Now, the donor community lost confidence in government and choose to channel their funding through project support. Because quite often, when they used to fund the government budget...
You are wrong there.
No. I'm telling you, the donor... You can't look at the resource envelope. Good for you. You are very vast with this idea. I'm not speaking to someone who doesn't know. What defines a country's outlook is what we call a resource envelope.
All right.
It tells you the source of funding and how money will go.
All right.
Now, the donors no longer trust to fund government. They choose that their money should be through direct project support. Why? When they funded government direct, okay, their money would be used to finance political patronage, which these huge structures. That's why for the first time, the last financial year, we borrowed so much money to pay wages.
All right.
Now,
we need to bring
that's why for me, if the Banyanjasi want, I can make a super case for rationalization of agencies than he can do. But I'm here to speak
to make a case for UCDA.
Now, the case for UCDA.
We'll be coming back to you. We are going to come back to you.
Which is they are skirting is one of, you've just said and directed to the country that there are 151 agencies.
157.
157. They are rationalizing 60
and
only,
keeping in 97.
And keeping in 97 agencies. We are saying, if you examine the ones he's saying NIRA. Do you know why NIRA is being served? It's part of the election rigging apparatus. I know it.
All right, let's hear from Penny.
It is part of the election rigging apparatus in this country.
All right.
as long as you don't want to have a free and fair election, you leave Nila there. I don't know what Nila does. And that's why I know. That's why I know. For your information, Nila is more of a security apparatus than a civilian outfit.
All right.
So you are leaving it there because it's part of election rigging apparatus. Let's make the point I want to come.
I'm going to come back to you on UCDA. We are going to have a thematic
rationalization.
We are going to have a thematic discussion.
A non-starter. That is not what is debatable. The case we want to make today
is obviously
about UCDA.
All right. Let's hear from Perry. Perry, your take on this.
Yeah, I think for me it's what Honorable Banyanzachi said about the administrative wing, because that's where a lot of money goes. We have like 147 RDCs. And from what I read, they consume about 4 billion. That's a lot of money. 163 deputies. Then you have the assistant RDCs. So if we were to reduce this number, how much would we save?
And by the way, the assistants were actually appointed when the rationalization process had begun.
Exactly. So for me, it is dishonest, to focus on a few and leave the part which is consuming a lot of money and yet not adding to the productivity of the country. Because as a country, we need money. So for me, the question, does it make economic sense to keep the administrative wing big as it is, and yet the country needs money to be able to develop? For me, that's where the question should be. I know we'll come to UCDA, but when the two gentlemen were talking, I kept asking, if UCDA goes back under Ministry of Agriculture, are they prepared to do some of the roles that UCDA has been doing? The issue of marketing, because there is having extension workers and all these things, but marketing is a different ball game. Ensuring that our coffee is able to be drunk not only within but outside the country.
There's another group called Preside. That's
why for me, I'm a person who believes in the law, and that's why I prefer to deal with institutions, not people. Because the institutions are what makes a country grow. So my question is, if UCDA is taken under Ministry of Agriculture, will it be able to address the needs that UCDA was addressing? And the marketing arm is a big arm, because that's what stimulates outputs and consumption. That's where Uganda earns most of its forex. So it's not just a matter of the extension workers giving farmers the seedlings, ensuring that they're able to produce, but what about ensuring that whatever they produce is marketed, giving them the support that they need in the process of the type of seedlings that they have, and ensuring that they thrive, but also the government benefits. For me, that's where the focus should be. But the political arm and the administrative arm, we have a big debate, because Parliament has over 500 MPs. I don't even know what they are doing. We have proposed often that if we are serious as a country, let us make the constituency, the district, 2 MPs per district. You save money. This whole administrative wing where we don't see value for money as the taxpayer. And for your information, that is one of the reasons why many Ugandans are hesitant to pay taxes. Because they're saying, look, we are paying taxes, but where is it being consumed? How does it transform their lives? When they go to a health center, can they get services? When they go to a school, because most of the money is in the administrative wing. So I think for me, Parliament should have a serious debate on the administrative and political wing, so that we're able to see value for money. That's my take.
All right, Honorable Banyanzachi, you were dying to say something as Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi was submitting.
This lady has made it for me. That is exactly the gist of the debate, where we should be. Now,
can I tell you, this lady also.
Now, before you tell me, let me first. The time is mine, but let me first reply. You denied me to inform you, but let me inform you in this minute. You see, Mwanga Chivumbi, you are talking about a project. Actually, when the agencies, in our language, we have agentsification. When these donors agentsified the government through the first estate, and there was agentsification. The technical people, all the money was pulled out from the mainstream government. And the technical people also sat and say, now, kati funira wa. Kati ini funira wa. Nebaja ne projects, they projectize they did projectization. Now, this projectization is when they started doing projects. Like a small project, get a loan to finance a project, get a loan from a project, for a project. You know, it is the very parliament where I sat and I opposed some of these things, some of these loans that were wasteful into this projectization. Now, my brother, Honorable, this is the gist of the debate. Let us look at this. These projects are also wasteful because once these projects, the projectization is a mafia clique within government, where they do the project, they get their cut. After getting their cut, the project is not implemented. That is why in the government, our implementation rate within the government is in the scale of 20 to 30. It will not go to 40. Forget about it.
Ministers.
It will forget about it. Why? Because the projectization thing, it is a deal. These guys go for a deal, get a loan, cut their deal. After cutting their deal, the project will not be implemented. That's why you are having these loans. You are paying for loans which are not effective. So as a parliament, we who are nationalists, our generation, Chivumbi, forget about telling me that I'm in NRM. Our generation should come and correct these wrongs.
Yeah,
and how do
by the way,
just wait.
No, let me
just wait. You want to give me information?
No, not
okay.
information.
All right.
Me.
On the mic, Honorable Banyazachi.
Okay.
You see, you people are making a case, even some of the civil society people. Where is the real money in Uganda, and where we are missing it? You are spot on.
In administrative structures.
No. Part of the money where we are losing, hemorrhaging a country.
How is it?
It's in loan and loan management.
Loans and loan management.
That's where you have.
Thank you. Let me take
No. That's where you have. That's where you have 30-something trillion of our budget in loan management.
Okay. Thank you.
Now the second area of low money, where we are losing hemorrhage in the trillions of money, and for you want to rationalize, you have to go to classified.
Okay.
I'm giving you, because you are going where there is no money. Where you are going no money, you go for classified. Where in a financial year, our classified budget is 5 trillion. Okay. Is 5 trillion, because what you are speaking 1 trillion saved, but here I'm speaking about where you have 5 trillion. Now these hypocrites here, the Banyinzakis, don't have the courage to talk about classified, because this is where real hemorrhage is occurring. Not even in administration. The first hemorrhage is to go, and with the biggest consumer of classified is Mr. Museveni.
Who is telling you?
He's the president.
You are talking about loans and loan management. Who is telling you? This man you are calling a hypocrite. I am the one telling you, go back in parliament. Have a clear strategy of loans management.
No, just read my report, which
First wait, Kuvumbi.
I've tackled that
I
issue.
was the chairman of the World Bank, Parliamentary Network on World Bank for Ugandan Parliament. I took on World Bank to change their policy, to have an open policy on these loans. I took them on and they adopted it. So these loans and loan management we are talking about, they are within your conduit. And it is these loans and loan management that they have created these projects, the projectization. So now, if we want to achieve something to date, the debate we are having on UCD, which has swallowed the whole country. If you
and you know the projects
without this hemorrhage,
let me disappoint Banyanzaki. 90% of the projects being implemented are not in agencies.
Okay,
they are in the main ministries.
Exactly.
That's where. So it's where you are taking coffee is where the road is.
Exactly.
Is where the road is.
Exactly. That's what I'm telling you.
So you're not solving the problem.
Exactly. That's why I'm telling you. When the agencies got this kind of money to run their agencies, they take
not agencies. I'm speaking about projects. Ministries.
Educate you now.
Yes, where the money is in the projects.
Let this hypocrite educate you.
Okay.
Now, when there was this agentsification, the technical arm that remained in the ministry were frustrated. What did they do? They created projects. So
you see,
first wait. So the projects within the ministry, they did a projectization now scheme.
So it is
Now
within
this-
that's why they're taking
Wait. So
So
now
maybe the question should be, how do we clean
Now-
this ministry?
now people be-
before you even
Now,
rationalize
can
this
you listen and educate you? Now, if you are in parliament,
That's why I've told you
You are
to
in
document
parliament,
you.
I'm not in
talking
parliament.
elsewhere.
now take the debate in parliament.
all right.
And
No, we're having it here.
when you okay, let's have it here.
Yes.
Then when you're having this debate here, let us trim these agencies, let us trim these projects, let us make government efficient. Have this debate. Have the right people in the right place. If
Well,
you are
see,
taking,
I've-
if you are
I've
taking,
told
if
you
you are
what
taking,
Spectrum
if you are
Extra
taking
on Radio
UCDA,
1 FM 90. Let's go. Thank you very much for staying with us on Spectrum Extra. Focus is on rationalization, but now we are going to shift a little bit and focus on a particular entity to understand whether the government is making the right decision on this particular entity. And that entity is UCDA. My guest this evening, Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, Butambala County MP, Chairman Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, Chairman Buganda Parliamentary Caucus, the Honorable Henry Banyenzachi, Director Operation Wealth Creation, Office of the President, former Minister and Member of Parliament for Rwanda West, Ms. Perry Aritua, Executive Director, Women Democracy Network Uganda Chapter, Pundit on Governance and Human Rights Issues. Now, Perry, let me start with you. I wanted actually to start with Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi on this particular point because initially Honorable Banyenzachi had made a case why UCDA needs to go. But now, let's hear from you. You've been following this debate. The exchanges have come in not only from leaders from the areas where coffee is produced. We have heard from Buganda Kingdom, but we have also heard from the president himself, who has insisted UCDA must go, just like Honorable Banyenzachi stressed at the beginning of this discussion. What's your take on UCDA specifically? Are we gaining or losing?
Thank you, Kenneth. That's
what
why
do we need to do to gain?
I read through what UCDA does, and from what I read, where their niche is, I think, for me, is in marketing coffee outside Uganda, especially, so that we earn more forex. So I keep asking myself, if that role is taken away and taken to the Ministry of Agriculture, will it be able to live up to those expectations, bearing in mind the inefficiencies in some of the ministries? So that means government would need to clean house in terms of those ministries, ensure that they are experts who know what the role UCDA was supposed to be playing. Because I know, for instance, like in Kenya, they have a number of these boards. There's the tea board, which does the marketing for Kenya. That's why you'll find someone was saying our tea can be marketed at only $4, while theirs is $18. And this is the same tea. You know, so that means there's something these boards do, efficient boards do, which at times ministries may not do. So do we have the capacity within the Ministry of Agriculture, if UCDA is dissolved, to be able to play that role of marketing and ensuring that, you know, because I was reading that one of the things that they are doing is to also take their regulations, which I think the EU has
put in
issued,
place.
you know, ensuring the farmers educated about these new regulations, ensuring that they know which farmer is where and doing what, dealing with quality control and all those things. Is the Ministry of Agriculture prepared? For me, that's really my main question, because one of the things that I know is you cannot sustain an agency without money. There must be investment. The question is, if government, for instance, if the donors, for instance, pulled out, if government pulls out, then of course you'd not have UCDA. So can we clean house in Ministry of Agriculture to ensure that the role that this agency was supposed to do is effectively done? You know, that's really my take on this.
Right,
issue.
let's hear from you, Honorable.
Let me chip in a bit.
We need to, okay,
My
very
sister,
quickly.
UCDA does not do marketing. The marketing organ in the marketing ministry in the government is the Ministry of Trade. And in the Ministry of Trade, there's Export Promotion Board.
Which has also been phased out.
For reasons. Then, when you go to, there's also an organization called Private Sector Promotion, the Private Sector Promotion something. You get coffee, tebakulimba, is not marketed by the government. It's the private sector. Tebakulimba, private sector, beba marketing coffee. But with the help of the government, in the foreign affairs, these ambassadors of ours, they have introduced what we call commercial diplomacy. In every embassy, there is a commercial attaché to do the marketing.
There should be.
There is.
There should be.
There is. Where they are, where they are not, where that position is vacant. This is vacant.
The last report I saw
now in
of the Foreign Affairs Committee in Parliament actually was saying there should be. That's why I'm emphasizing.
No. There is. I'm now telling you, if the report of Parliament should be reading, the commercial diplomacy, the commercial attaches should be in every embassy. They do the marketing. Now, this UCDA which sits here at Ginger Road, how can it market in this whole world?
All right.
What they could do is also monetize.
All right. Let's hear from Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi.
The other thing, what do we talk about? So, the market UCDA
does not do marketing.
Does not do marketing.
Let's hear from Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi.
The UCDA role, cardinal role of UCDA, as it is now, it is regulation policy.
All right.
It's the regulation arm.
All right.
Which regulation can be prayed through the ministry where they already are and through the extension officers.
All right. Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, you said you came here to make a case for UCDA. You've heard all the arguments that have been made, including the ones that have been put forward by President Yoweri Museveni, and some of them have been re-echoed here by Honorable Banyezache. Why do you think UCDA should not be scrapped?
First of all, there are two things. One, are we the only country that grows and exports and sell coffee to other countries?
No.
The answer is no. So the question then, what do other countries that are efficient in this industry do as they go around marketing coffee? And nobody has answered that argument. I've had the president, I've had other people make a case. No one has attempted to answer the best international practices for marketing coffee. Are they the best practices for commercializing oil? Okay, certain products, when you want to go in them big time, like oil, okay, most countries that have export oil and sell petroleum products, they don't do it through main ministries.
No.
It is through the agency model.
True.
Okay? Now, we've done our research. Not a single major country that is in serious coffee business for export is doing it through a main ministry. We've gone and mentioned from Brazil to Colombia, Honduras, Vietnam, and blah, blah. Now, the people of Ethiopia and Kenya tried to be wiser, like we're doing. And they said, we can do this through the main ministry. And Ethiopia would have suffered, would have been hit harder had they been a country where a big chunk of their coffee is consumed locally. So they attempted to take the coffee, to remove and take to the main ministry. 3 years down the road, the export went down by over 50%. Had Ethiopia not been a huge coffee consuming country, okay, their coffee would have been hit at a very strategic level. Now, in Uganda, we grow coffee, but we are not a huge coffee taking country. So our coffee grown all over is largely for market, is largely for export. Now, the world is changing. Sensible governments all over the world, because of the new non-communicable diseases, they are taking extreme care for what they import and for what their citizens consume. So they need quality assurances and standards of the products that go into their country. Now, UCDA, its part, majorly, its strategic link in the whole equation is quality assurance. Actually, the earnings from coffee may not be because of the quantity you have. It's determined by the quality of your, like any other export, by the way. the phone you take, the same phone of Nani, which is the latest model? S24 or Samsung or the other Apple. The difference is the quality in the phone, but the functionality could be the same, and the difference in the market is in millions. Okay, so the Nokia, Techno, the difference in the market is in the quality. The quality will not even be is in the brand. Okay, it could even be a branding and the quality. That's why today, same oil today that are sold by other petrol stations, because they are now getting from the same source. But people still are thinking that Shell and Total have different quality of oil. Not at all. The oil now, is under the new law, the oil now buy from the same source for the oil that comes in. But the brand says, me, I don't take fuel from any other petrol. I do it Shell. For when you talk about Unilever, it has its niche and its product. Now, for coffee, to ensure quality, it doesn't even start with the bean, which you export. It all goes way down to how you prepare your nursery and the quality of seedlings. Okay? Now, from seedlings, you go to how you prepare your farm, how you harvest it. You must harvest the right coffee. After harvesting the right coffee, you must dry it the right way. You must process it the right way. Sit at home, rest. You must assess it the right way. You must pack it the right way. So countries, once they build confidence in an agency to ensure that they give it what they call, please.
I gave you a gap.
Let's allow him to justify. You will be asking questions on
UCDA.
It is the extension workers.
No. It's UCDA. It's UCDA. Now, countries have built confidence in UCDA and gave it what they call accreditation and certification. So that when they see the stamp of UCDA on a bag of coffee, they can do a random sample. But on the face of it, it's fine. Now, when you do away with UCD and that collapses, yes, another agency may get it, but it will take time. Okay? It will take time. It can be between, I'm told, this is not scientific, I've just had this argument, it can take between 5 to 10 years as they put you on the watch whether you have capacity. Therefore, we are saying, for a product that is a national highest export earner, in this year that brought in 1.4 trillion, okay, you cannot, because business is about durability and predictability. That's why Coca-Cola, for as long as I've been old, we've been buying a bottle of Coca-Cola at 100, is it 10,000? No, 1,000. 1,000. So that is who they are. Now, for you to maintain global supply chains, they need durability and predictability.
All right.
And assurance of quality. Now, when you tamper with the UCDA, okay, you are putting a little bit of a question. That's why in the scheme of, it could be my person. That's why in the scheme of things you are saying.
Let's allow him.
When in the scheme of things you are saying, you can't tamper with the UCDA. The government has been saying we are taking it to the ministry, MAIF.
And nothing.
Government has acknowledged that MAIF, as it stands today, does not have the capability and capacity to take on the functions of UCDA. What do they do in the gamble? Say, you create a transition. For us, we are even no. For us, we are even saying, not because of our noise. For us, we are even saying, if you are sure you want to take on UCDA, and you are sure you can do it in the ministry. For us, we think one of the best model is through agency model. So don't rationalize UCDA at all. It is wrong for economy, wrong for politics, wrong for everything. And you are getting it wrong as you have normally gotten it wrong quite often. Now, we are saying in event you have the madness to rationalize, and you want to rationalize the UCDA, we are saying, please go and prepare the Ministry of Agriculture. Go and have everything, the infrastructure to take on these functions. Bring a bill at that time, and saying you are ready. I believe that's a common sense position.
All right.
It's not even evil, but it is rooted in common sense. Now, I want somebody who says you want to take an entity, to an agency that is not ready, on anticipation that at some given time T, for which there is no magic formula, arrived at in a room for guesswork, maybe 5 years, it will be ready. So first of all,
can I ask you?
No, let me ask you. Therefore, the case for coffee, like a case for the 97 that are remaining, and you are gambling with the national honor. You are gambling with everything. So the case for coffee, hold on a bit. Get ready if you want. For us, we are telling you the best model, if we happen to be, it through agency. But in case you want to be mad and you want to rationalize, we are even guiding you in your madness. That please, in your madness, that don't do it even the wrong way, the right way. Even if you want to have a baby, you cannot take a virgin to a labor ward.
All right.
You cannot. You cannot. So we are saying for coffee, that's why our coffee for government is not ready. It's an unknown. You need international market. The quality assurance you are saying. Then there have been talking about quality assurance. Now, listen.
What's your question?
If the executive director of UCDA is phased out,
It's not even if the executive director of UCDA becomes the commissioner.
That's what. Listen. That's why you are getting in charge of coffee. Listen to what this gentleman have done. A commissioner is on US1 something. Okay? If he's not a scientist, he's going to be earning a paltry 1.8. No. Paltry 1.8 million. Listen. He's going to be earning a paltry 1.8 million gross.
Right.
With the salary, he's going to be earning 1.54 million. Anderson here, you cannot work for that money. All right. Now, the in charge of your coffee will be earning 1.8, and No. Let me tell you, not all payments, not all smart man and high pay is bad for economics. Companies over the world.
So you have
no. Let me tell you, companies over the world, even in corporate world. If you have a specific need where you want an expert, you put smart money in it. What is the 44? I'm asking you. Let me give you figures. Let me give you figures. What is the 44 billion? Where you are earning $1.4 trillion.
We have another guest who has just joined us. We have
$1 billion.
What is the 44? We have another guest who has joined us.
Unless your economics is voodoo.
We have another guest who has joined us, Dr. James Tweheyo, member of the Central Executive Committee of the NRM. You have just been in the parliamentary caucus of the NRM where they were discussing issues to do with the UCDA. But bring us fast to speed. What have they decided?
Our decision was wrong made. This is not the first time we're discussing the issues of rationalization.
Have you been to Gombe?
We had it. Yes, that's where I come from.
Let him conclude the point.
No. It is not just a decision for the day on coffee. Our decision was very clear that we should go rationalization, RAPEX. And
that decision was made a long time ago.
UCDA is not.
We are looking at UCDA now.
Yes, UCDA is not away from it. And by the way, let's have it very clearly. What are the roles of UCDA? And if these roles are more, and by the way, not all of them will be moved to the Ministry of Agriculture, as has always been the case. No. Some of them actually supposed to be moved to local governments, because local governments have the responsibility for some extension services. Exactly. And this is where the problem has been. Yes. By the way, UCDA, to say the least, has been acting more as a middleman than anything else. UCDA has never produced coffee. It is narrow.
And that's not
No. Let's get it clear. It is narrow. National Agriculture Research Organization has been at it. It is the one that produced Eret. It is the one that produced Corons. It is the one that did all that. Yes. So now, UCDA has been actually getting this, putting it in nursery beds, getting money for generating it, and then subsequently award centers for the supply. And this is where the issue is. So the major complaint now is these middlemen have been doing it. That is why, if you can remember, you people, that is why when there came in Operation Wealth, by the way, part of this coffee boom you see is a result of the effect of Operation Wealth, which would now transfer the coffee.
What was Operation West
No,
doing?
which it was actually not doing any specific technical. No,
What was it doing?
there was nothing technical. It was distributing the seedlings that had
seedlings
been made.
and ensuring
Now,
quality.
Did it distribute only coffee seedlings?
The question would be,
Distribute only coffee seedlings?
listen, it is not.
In that cluster program you talked about,
Wait,
this
wait.
one
Let
here,
me answer
in
this
that
very
cluster program, in that cluster programs, you have the raffle, you have a whole cocktail of products.
Yes.
Seedlings you distributed.
Yes.
Did you distribute only coffee?
Not at all.
No.
We
No.
distributed
Why did
many
the coffee
others.
succeed and others failed?
No,
Simple.
No, listen.
Simple.
wait,
Let's
You distributed
Right.
mango, you distributed
I told you that mango failed.
you distributed goats that died.
You know,
Why
I
did
don't
the
want
coffee
you.
succeed?
I don't want
all
you
right,
to explain. I don't want.
gentlemen,
Let me
we
make
have
this
millions
matter
of
clear.
people. We have millions of people who are listening
Yes.
to us, including your children.
Yes, they
So
are.
let's be orderly in the studio.
That's why I would prefer this to be orderly like I am. Now,
And you are not making
the
a
issue.
case.
No, I'm making a clear matter, and I want it very clear to the listeners. This UCD of yours is not necessarily the essential source of the coffee boom. The coffee boom is because of the failure and the frost in Brazil and Costa Rica. And by the way, yes, that's the fact.
No.
You guys are experts.
Yes.
That
Wait,
the coffee
wait,
boom
wait.
is that you have increased. The question is that you have increased the production.
Only one.
No, the big question that you have increased
Speak.
because you are not.
Why did you allow me to speak and then you explain? No, the coffee boom is essentially because of the failure of the other two countries, and also
the boom at what level?
and also
The
in
boom
terms
at
of,
what
in
level?
terms of the sales outside, and also due to the production that has been in place, and majorly due to the marketing. Now, who does this marketing? No.
Marketing.
What is the role of the export promotions, by the way?
By
You
the
see
way,
them who have been doing
No,
marketing.
because
Because
coffee
I've been
has
exporting
been under, and
export
let me
promotion.
tell you the major source of the major source of problem is what Mwanga Chivumbi is not telling you. The major source of the problem here with UCDA in particular is the 2% that UCDA has been collecting, which we have come to learn that has saturated in some
Which
cases
is the cost of
in the
farmers.
pockets of some of these people.
No.
Yes.
You see,
So let's make the
$84 billion
without
Yes. I don't know how you perfect in wrongness.
No,
The 84 billion is collected by URA. It goes into the consolidated fund. The UCDA only gets money for its budget that is passed by Parliament.
Yes. How much does it come out of that?
I wanted to clear something. I wanted to clear something. Baba Nyenzachi, you said that UCDA was not marketing, but here, let me read verbatim that the role of the UCDA, which is Uganda Coffee
Yes.
Development Authority, is a government agency mandated to regulate,
Yes.
promote, and
Regulate,
oversee the quality
promote,
of coffee along the value chain, support research, development, promote production, and
Support.
improve the marketing of coffee
Correct.
in order to optimize forex earnings for the country.
But
So
that's
I
not
was
the
right
only one.
that part of the role is the now what is
Yeah,
going to
so now
happen
my
for a
sister-
ministry
my-
which seems
We are in agreement.
And I wanted Dr. Tweheyo.
Yes.
Wait,
Just a
read
second.
it
Just a
again,
second.
read it again.
Just a second.
Read it
I
again,
wanted
one by
Dr. Tweheyo to tell us
me to
what
read
was
it
the
again.
response of the president.
One by
Because MPs have been expressing concern about the manner in which the Minister of Agriculture has been performing. That's why he wants to take UCDA.
We are doing
true.
very well.
How did he respond
The
to that?
president is equally uncomfortable with the bureaucratization of the ministries.
so how
He
is that
is.
solved if UCDA
The
is
president
taken
is
there?
uncomfortable. I want to make it very clear and on record. Is uncomfortable with the bureaucratization of the ministries. But the president is firm that these ministries, the public servants, they became so withdrawn, because of the agentization
Agentification.
of part of the ministries. There is no reason why a commissioner in the ministry, like Honorable Mwanga was saying, a commissioner should earn 1.8, and the same person at the same level, because he's in the agency, and because these agencies were created for purposes of whatever can be done by anybody else can be done. And once they appoint the ministries, then there is that harmonization. And the ministries and other areas where they fall can be properly supervised.
All right.
That is why even the president at one time proposed that we should go ahead and look at the public service regulations and standing orders and make them so firm and strong that anybody who doesn't perform would be able to be moved off.
Including
All right, let's hear from
Yes.
Honorable
Actually,
Banyezachi.
I want my
Yes,
Honorable
perform,
Banyezachi.
then the voters will
My
say
sister,
firm
read
no.
the- read the
All right, let's hear from
function.
Honorable
Read the
Banyezachi.
functions of
Let's hear from Honorable
regulate,
the function.
regulate, promote, oversee quality of
First
coffee.
wait, pola mpora.
Regulate, promote, oversee the quality of coffee.
Genda pola mpora.
She's
Promote quality.
Oversee the quality of coffee along the entire value chain.
Yes.
Support research and development.
Yes.
Promote production and improve the marketing of coffee
Yes.
in order to optimize
Yes. Now
forex
let-
earnings for
let
the
me tell you.
country.
Correct.
Now, who has been doing marketing? Minister of Trade, Export Promotion Board. Who has been doing research and development? NARO. Who has been doing regulation? The ministry. What is the other thing? So you
So are we saying-
wait.
Who has been the hub coordinating all of this?
So-
Simple.
so
UCDA,
Which is
which
okay.
is
The
UCDA.
hub can go in the ministry
been at the hub?
and do the same function.
UCDA.
who has been at the hub to coordinate this? The ministry.
It's UCDA. It has been UCDA.
We need also to hear from the listener.
These are the functions that are being duplicated.
We need to hear from the
Other
No,
listener.
no, no. For
And
UCDA,
not
you have it
duplicated
wrong.
with other
For
sectors.
UCDA, you have it
This
wrong.
other
Be
agency
gentle,
is inefficient.
admit you have
get-
you are
so
taking
put
on a
these
wrong path.
functions.
Be man enough,
Pressurize
like
it.
Nyerere did.
Ministry.
Humbled himself
If you are talking-
with the.
If you are talking about marketing, we have the Ministry of Trade, which does trade and which does the marketing part of it. And the Ministry of Trade has been perfecting it through
Under
export
what
Which
ministry?
export promotion?
Under
board
what
has also
ministry?
been ministry.
Under what ministry is Mr. Rwabogo operating?
That one-
Because it's the one marketing coffee now. Because it's the one marketing
No,
coffee
no, no,
now.
it's also to be phased
No,
down. Please.
no, please. There is no way it can be phased out.
We are-
Honorable Banyezachi.
There are
It is the private sector.
What kind of a mess is this?
So somebody is operating a private sector.
Sort out the mess in government. Don't take a coffee.
Exactly.
Don't gamble with the national honor
So
before
what
you've
is
sorted
the
out your
transition period between
What we are
UCDA
talking about,
and the
huh?
ministry?
We are doing
So
that
that
with
the
this
ministry
mess.
That one is the
prepared.
role of the
We are doing with this
parliamentarians.
That's
when
what
they are
we
doing
do.
the coffee.
We are doing
All right,
this-
all right. Let's hear from the listener.
Government.
Let's hear from the listener. We
This
have
mess in the government can only be done
Honorable
logically.
Banyezachi. Honorable Banyezachi.
This time you are not
Those
logical with the
things that you are
coffee.
telling me,
You are that's why you are now not logical with the coffee.
Gentlemen,
So be logical with the coffee. Leave
They
it for
do.
now.
It is
Go
not
and sort out your
Banyezachi.
house.
Gentlemen, let's hear from the listener. We have comments coming in from the listener. David Raisinan says, the Banyezachi we know by character and actions right from secondary school days up to when he became a minister is never a nationalist, as he claims, but a self-seeker. We have a comment from Roy. Kenneth, today you have disappointed me. You failed to control Honorable Chivumbi, who kept interrupting Honorable Banyezachi, and he wasn't allowed to develop his point. In any case, he was pointing to the same multiple problems, projects, agencies, hence, in a way, he supports Honorable Banyezachi. Dear Kenneth, if this isn't madness, then it's total confusion. The existence of a specialist agencies is a good thing for service delivery because we all know that they work through mainstream government is to just employ people to earn a living, not to deliver services to Ugandans. All the three panelists seem to unanimously agree that there is a big problem in this country as far as decision making is concerned. Who then is responsible for the mess in this country? If the discussion is on UCDA, but the panelists are talking about RDCs, politicians, etc., it points to the fact that UCDA discussion is only an eye-opener to the poor decision makers we have. It's a shame. Another comment, due to respect to the panel, Honorable Banyezachi, do the technical people make the final decision? Don't ministers play the political supervisory roles? That's a comment coming in from Lumbuye, who is listening in from Zigoti. Why is coffee more coffee than the coffee it has been before? Somebody is asking. We have another comment, but why is rationalization in coffee alone? We have milk, meat, bananas, tomatoes, tea, etc., which control a lot of contribute a lot to Ugandans. I would wish to see Minister of Agriculture put under UCDA because our policies are pro-people and result oriented. Now, this person actually says the Minister of Agriculture should be under UCDA. That's a comment from Agri Musinguzi, who is in Rwanda West. Good evening, Spectrum Extra. NRM government can't reduce the numbers of RDCs, DSOs, etc. because those are sympathy posts for those who have been rejected by the people. So the president has to keep them in those offices. On the issue of UCDA, NADS was just a white elephant. I didn't see the impact of UNRWA. It was just the normal game of creating jobs for other people. That's a comment from Mawa Amaza, who is listening in from Moyo in the West Nile region. Just imagine NUSAF project. Every 5 years, a new vehicle has to be bought. It's totally a crazy matter. Those officers should be using motorcycles instead. They should be using motorcycles instead if there is a dream for real development. Then we have a comment coming in from Drani. Please give Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi more time to expose President Museveni's dishonesty to Ugandans since 1986. President Museveni has nothing useful to offer for Uganda anymore. His government has now reached the extent of using Ugandans as collateral for loans that help them, the leaders, but not ordinary Ugandans. Let's go for a break now. When we return, we'll sample more comments, and then we have responses from. So much for staying with us on Spectrum Extra. Our focus is on rationalization, but we have now moved to the issue of UCDA, where we are trying to see whether the government is making the right thing. My guests, 4 panelists, Dr. James Tueheyo, member of the Central Executive Committee of the NRM, the Honorable Henry Banyenzachi, Director Operation Wealth Creation, Office of the President, Ms. Perry Aritu, Executive Director, Women Democracy Network, the Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, Butambala County MP, Chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee, and Buganda Caucus in Parliament. Well, Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, I want to give you an opportunity because you have to leave for another engagement. We want to hear your closing remarks on this particular issue of UCDA. What is your game plan when you go to Parliament? Most likely, the discussion on this bill is going to resume on Tuesday next week.
I'm not sure it is Tuesday. Maybe if it's Tuesday or Monday or any other day, we're ready. First and foremost, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. Whether it is operation wealth creation or narrow or whatever, the thing is, as a country, we are celebrating for once coffee as a success product. Let me remove even UCDA. We are celebrating coffee as a success product, to the extent that non-coffee growing areas have now taken on coffee. And coffee is no longer regional or even a Uganda product. It's a national product. That's why for us we think it's a national issue of concern. Actually, then, looking at the potential, most likely in the next 5 to 10 years, Western Uganda may take over from Central Region as the highest coffee growing area.
That's very true.
This I know with what the inflow of seedlings and what is happening. And also because they have cows and blah blah, they are fertile, may have more yield per plant than even if you have many, but the yield per plant may be higher.
And there's also another incentive. There's a factory being constructed there.
Of course, I don't want to go into those issues, but because the people know, because the Ugandans know the so therefore, this that has succeeded, anything they say wrong on cotton, they say wrong on UNRWA, they say wrong on this one, on the coffee side, it is all tick. Therefore, I think we should have been celebrating not only UCDA, all other actors. It is an occasion for celebration. But the question is, and I'm being honest, I've just audited, as the chairperson park, the Minister of Agriculture. Okay? I've just audited the Minister of Agriculture. From the goat rollover project to mechanization, to water for production, and the Minister of Agriculture is in charge of other crops. Let's evaluate them.
Even fisheries.
Fisheries, even there, it had to take the army to intervene because the ministry failed. Okay? Go for sugarcane. Machaz, Met and Madvan are building, are building airstrips.
But sugarcane is in trade.
No, airstrips, but the people of Busoga are dirty poor.
That is interesting.
Look at Banyanzachi knows he was part of the people from that side that promoted tea. Tea is in the Ministry of Agriculture. What has happened to tea? Because we are failed to even get an accreditation. We age it in Nairobi, and our coffee is marketed as Kenyan coffee. Our tea is marketed as Kenyan tea. Look at what has happened to vanilla. Look at what has happened to even maize. By the way, our maize, because of quality, was being rejected, even in Sudan. South Sudan, where people are dying of starvation. They are saying this maize is bad. Why? Not because we lacked quantity, we lacked quality. Therefore, the game changer in the business all over today is not in quantum. It is in quality of your product. Now, if it is in the quality of your product, an agency, whether by default, as I want to believe, that has given you that lease of life, would you alter it and take it to an institution that scores a minus in all parameters? It's a gamble we can't afford. It's a gamble that this country, that's what we're saying. If you are reserving I've put figures, let me end with this. The craze about national oil from the coffee sharing agreement is that if we commercialized our oil for 25 years, we are expected to earn $22 billion US if a barrel of oil was at $50. Today it's 100. Okay? So if you extrapolate and bring it to speed, it is 44 billion.
All right.
Now, if the country is able to get 20 million bags of coffee, and with the current momentum on coffee, okay, it is attainable in the next below 10 years. The country will be earning 3 billion shillings per year from coffee, with two other ingredients about coffee. Coffee, $1 billion, with coffee being a finite and infinite resource, other than oil, being a bottom-up crop, where it's the people that first get rich. Oil is a trickle-down. It's first of all where you go to oil companies, it's the bureaucrats that first get rich, then it trickles down. So we are saying if you are to do the 25 years for coffee and for oil, it is 75 billion. So coffee, in the national frame of things, is a better deal for Uganda. A mass employer, by the way, coffee, oil will not employ as many people as coffee. 12 million Ugandans depend on coffee. They are likely to be 30 million Ugandans.
Actually, 12 million households.
No, households are two. The 12 millions are people who depend on coffee. Now, with the product that, with the deepening and extension of roots, if you have uncertainty anywhere, why don't you hold a bit? See if you attain that capability. And then you transfer it when you are sure. Good business is moving consistently with the certainty. Right. That's why he knows if he's been in operation now the highest paid economists are modeling economics. Those that are supposed to model and build the scenarios so that they can, with the scientific exactness, project what the future will be. Right. Now, with you without that model, without anything, it's not a question of sitting in your farm and saying, this one, because of ego. So do what Nyerere did. It is greatness. You better tell President Yoweri Museveni. Sometimes it's greatness for a leader to step back even when he thinks he's right. Okay. It is greatness. You should not have an inferiority complex, saying because of ego, now if I step back, I'll look bad. And I know the argument, NRM will look weak. No, you will be a great party if you listened to the voices of the people.
Right. Thank you very much.
And I invite you on that table of greatness.
Honorable Member of Parliament, this segment is the best submission you have done. And that's where this debate should be. We should be combining efforts now to make sure that what you have said and submitted, we do it. And how do we do it? Is to hold government accountable. That is why you see, my brother, sometimes they misunderstood me. When I get this opportunity, I hold them somehow to account. Now, if what you are saying now, in this period of Syria, the so-called transitional period, this is now we should be putting our brain brains together. I am here, Honorable Chuvumbi. I am here. Let us put brains together to make sure that these things that you are talking about are done. For you, you are talking about $3 billion. This is primary production. You are not talking about value addition. We are exporting jobs. If we had our coffee processed, forget about that factory of Tungamo. We need like 10 of them. We need to support that factory to make sure that it becomes effective, and we have each factory in every region.
Whose factory is it?
Forget about it's a Ugandan factory. Whether it is a Muyindi or a Chinese, it's a Ugandan factory. So we should have more of this, so that we export our coffee when it is finished. When we export it when it is finished, this $3 billion we are talking about, it will be times 20.
All right.
Now,
but I also want to correct you on coffee, Mr. Banyinzaki. The craze about value addition in coffee is just a marketing gimmick.
Okay.
Globally, this coffee I've just taken from your coffee.
We brewed
market,
it from
you
here.
brew it here.
Okay.
Actually, with the coffee, value addition is not so critical.
You can brew it.
Coffee is
Okay.
how you
Now,
market
thank you
and
very
the
much.
quality of your
Thank you
coffee.
very much.
This is craze about value addition in
When
coffee.
I want
You
to-
are getting it wrong. What
when
are
I-
you adding? People want to take brewed coffee.
When I want
The
to
rich
interrupt
people
you,
take a brewed
now,
coffee.
what we are talking about, this brewed coffee that we are talking about, that you have taken here.
All right.
Why are we not having this? Because marketing is a perception.
Yeah.
Why are we not exporting this perception and you get these people who consume coffee?
Strengthen UCDA.
No!
More comments coming in from the listeners. More comments coming in from the
Strengthen the
listeners.
systems within the government to perform this function.
Well, thank you very much,
And let's
Honorable
have a
Mwanga Chivumbi, for
debate.
sparing time to be with
I get
us.
my point.
More comments coming in from the listeners. For your information, UCDA was the center of organizing the coffee lab that came with a roadmap which improved coffee production. Operation Wealth Creation distributed seedlings which were paid for by UCDA. Then we have another comment, Radio 1. I think the government has good intentions in rationalization, but they are doing it the wrong way. Majority of concerned Ugandans are asking government to trim cabinet, parliament, the long convoys of the president, ministers, cut down RDCs, stop buying high-level cars. This will reduce expenditure and save money. But the national resistance government is not listening. How are we supposed to understand your reasons for merging UCDA? Who is fooling who? That's a comment from Mwalimu. Banyenzachi and Itweheyo should first list for us the roles of UCDA. We debate achievements from that direction. Dismissing UCDA as having done nothing is clearly just throwing out political statements with no logic. In order to justify other hidden reasons for rationalization, such as institution-associated success, why are they not listening to the critical stakeholders, especially the farmers? Let all the institutions being listed by Banyenzachi, such as NARO, Nakori, Minister of Trade, MAIF, Minister of Finance, account to their expected roles in the implementation of the roadmap. You will find they have done nearly zero work. The little success we are seeing has been from UCDA. Does Honorable Banyenzachi know that even his earnings last month were most probably paid by coffee earnings? Why is the fact that coffee is our cash? Why is that the fact? It's because coffee is our cash cow, not apparent to these talkers. We should instead, as a country, think about how to strengthen the UCDA as coffee has shown to be strategic commodity for our country. For now, till the oil dream is realized. That's a comment from Vincent. Lastly, at this moment, Edison writes in, Dear Kenneth, why is the energy on fighting working institutions? Do we have a vision for this country? Young people, wake up. You can't talk of rationalization when you have failed to produce. How much will be saved from rationalization compared to what is stolen from Parliament alone? That's a comment from Edison. Let's hear from you, Perry. As we're coming towards the end of this discussion, we need to hear your response to some of these comments
Thank you,
that are
Kenneth.
coming in.
I think I want to applaud the person who texted. It's a text, yeah, where he says, "What does the farmer say?" That for me is important, because the farmer is the one who has maybe benefited from this whole thing of UCDA. What is their opinion, even as these debates are going on? Because it's the elites debating right now. What about the farmer who has benefited maybe because of the pricing, because they can be able to earn a living? What are they saying about this? Is it possible, for instance, to deal with the shortfalls within UCDA, as we even think of a transition right now, to say let's deal with the shortfalls, plug the gaps, and then let's see if it works. If it works, as I think where I agreed with Honorable Chivumbis, if it works, why try and fix it? And then he mentioned the number of the gaps in the Ministry of Agriculture. Are we ready to transfer something that seems to be working to a ministry that is not yet working as it should be? I'm just speaking on from what he said. So for me, I think the bottom line is the farmer, because they are the ones who benefit from this agency. What are they saying? I think their voices should be heard on this issue before even a decision is made.
John Kennedy, listening in from Soroti. Good evening. Kenneth, kindly remind Honorable Banyazachi that the extension workers are there up to the parish level. But the only extension activity I remember them mobilizing the people in my parish was to take their cats and dogs for vaccination. Nothing more than that. Let's wind up this discussion, Honorable Dr. Tweheyo.
The issue of UCDA is similar to the issue of Dairy Development Authority, is a similar issue of UNRA, is a similar issue of the others. And I want to be very clear and categorical on this. For example, UNRA has been hiring engineers to go and do the roads. So it was almost as good as a contracts committee.
That one should go.
So if we
How much was it bringing in?
Which UNRA? It was fixing the roads. That's okay. Or repairing or contracting people to do that. So that is very clear. UCDA has done some work. Let's first admit that it has done some work. But we should also admit that it can do the same work or even better under the ministry, where the other elements of the ministry, where some of the roles it is taking on, can be shared and done. What we need to do is strengthen the supervision of the ministry. But we should also admit that UCDA was not doing it all of our own. We should know that the production of these seedlings was done by NARO. We should also admit, yes, research, that research is done by NARO. UCDA is not doing research. We should also admit that, yes, UCDA has tried in some areas to do some marketing, especially this internal marketing. By the much of the external marketing, yes, UCDA has tried, but also Ministry of Trade, through the Export Promotions Board, has done its best. We should also understand that sometimes, yes, by the way, you should not only look at the farmer, we should also look at the role of the private sector. Because if there is clear liberalization, the farmer would even benefit a lot, like it is now. And that's why I would even call upon the government, my own government, that it should be clearly liberalized. Like as coffee is liberalized, sugar should equally be liberalized. That's why there is a big problem, especially with sugar. Then the ministry must be prevailed over for quality control, not only of coffee, by the way. No. The quality control should be of coffee, should be of tea, should be of other crops that have come up to take over the role of the cash cropping, like maize, like beans. All those must be controlled. And if we admit that there are gaps in the ministries, if we admit that UCDA has been doing a good job as UCDA, can't the same UCDA do the good job in the ministry? Can't it also be there and be a model that it is doing a good job and can also model for the other crops that are under the ministry?
There was a lengthy write-up put forward by the Honorable Dr. Xtra Suruma, in which he makes his argument. But I would like to read the conclusion part and probably to respond to some of the issues that you've put there. He says, for anyone who has engaged in coffee export in Uganda or knows anything about coffee exports, it's frightening to imagine exporters looking everywhere for absentee bureaucrats, often scattered anywhere in a department in the Ministry of Agriculture. Ask people who have tried to get a photo-sanitary certificate from the Ministry of Agriculture recently and how they fared. Ideally, one wishes this matter could be put on a referendum so that the population can decide. The most efficient services come from specialized institutions whose knowledge and expertise takes many decades to learn and achieve. I can't imagine, for example, making Mulago Hospital a department in the Ministry of Health or Makerere a department in the Ministry of Education. The low quality of service delivery in many government departments deserve improvement, not additional work. Throwing away institutions like paper towels is so very difficult to understand. As you say, it's truly a conundrum. O Uganda, may God uphold thee, we lay our future in thy hand.
In a way, I agree with
Senior Dr. Xtra Suruma.
But I also insist that if the efficiency could be done by the same personnel seated in this studio, why doesn't the same personnel seated in the next studio do the efficiency? So that's the first question. And
So
and
are you
to raise
suggesting the personnel at UCDA is going to be moved and taken to the Minister of Agriculture?
If they so wish.
Is that the plan?
If they so wish.
No, let me
No,
first
no, no, no,
correct
no.
this.
The-
No,
the-
no, 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 no.
Let me first correct
We
this.
let's look at their physical
Yes,
presence. We know
absolutely.
they are on Ginger Road,
Yes.
and the Minister of Agriculture is somewhere in
Let
Entebbe.
me-
Yes,
let me-
correct.
let me correct this.
They are free to be
Let
moved
me-
physically
let-
themselves,
let-
but those who so wish will have to move
Let
off
me first correct this.
because they have been running on contracts.
Let me first
And let
correct
me ask you, if the same personnel who are in the ministry
What
had
is
their
the
contracts
UCDA
expire
in the ministry?
and left, wouldn't there be other people who would do that
Where
job?
is the UCDA? Isn't it the Minister of
The-
Agriculture?
Is it a preserve of, for example, the executive director of UCDA that
Mwalimu
if he was
Tuheyo.
off,
Dr.
the world
Mwalimu
would stop?
Tuheyo.
Certainly no.
Dr. Mwalimu Tuheyo, where is UCDA? Where is the Minister of
It is
UCDA?
in the Ministry of Agriculture.
So why are
Certainly.
you saying that it's
So
outside
the same
ministry?
personnel, may I insist, the same personnel, if seated in the same desk in the Ministry of Agriculture, can perfect that.
supervising?
So let them go there and do the perfection and be a model to improve even the others. But I also insist that the ministry, not by the agriculture alone, all ministries
Coordination.
must be properly supervised. All the workers in this country need to be properly supervised to produce
coordinated.
the expected results.
Can I build on his
Hello,
point?
Kenneth. Thank you for the crucial discussion. Please ask Honorable Banyezachi to clear the air with regards to allegation that Operation Wealth Creation has been distributing air but not seedlings. He comes from Kigezi, therefore he's aware of the irregularities and accountability issues, tea seedlings especially, that are hard to explain, not even by himself. That's a comment from Bob. With a high rate of unemployment in our country, a lot of land underutilized or not used at all, why can't government start up coffee farms and employ a large number of people instead of just spreading hand to reap from where they don't sow? That's a comment from
You see, Kenneth,
Sharif.
You see, Kenneth, this Sharif.
You
This
first
Sharif,
grow coffee.
Sharif is
First
very-
grow the coffee.
Sharif is correct. Let me first go straight forward.
First grow your coffee.
Air supply in tea. Yes, there have been in tea in Kigezi. There were air suppliers in tea. Babi. In this government, Tuinama Babi. Kondo. So one of our Kondo, they entered into this sector.
Of tea.
They went into tea and distributed air. That is not a secret. Mwebadi. You get? So now, let me go on the substance.
Have you eliminated them?
You are in
That's the
Public Accounts
question.
Committee. Help me.
Honorable Mwaka Chivumbi, what do you see in the Public Accounts Committee?
We have that against it.
Do oversight.
No, the
You
person
see-
I wanted to see was listening in. He said because of the
But
national
the crucial-
importance, the crucial.
He can wait.
He will wait.
All right.
He said,
You-
he
you-
said he told you not to leave these
Kenneth.
liars.
I was in Parliament. with
No lie there. Everything
He
is
said, don't leave, I will wait.
I was in Parliament with Chivumbi.
Mm.
Chivumbi, you remember, when we were putting in a case of this corrupt syndicate, when I was with the Sechku boss, with my friend.
When you were the
Badisi,
rebel MP.
When we were the rebels, and everybody castigated us that there's no corruption. Fast forward, before he even left that parliament, Museveni joined us and accepted that there is corruption. He even demonstrated against the corrupt. Fast forward as we speak now, everybody believes that the systematic cancerous disease in this government is corruption. So, this tea business of air supply is not an isolation. But let me go.
But on his watch.
We need to
On his watch.
We need to.
it
Let's go
is
into
more,
the subject
more on
matter.
your watch because you are the person who audits
But
the
the
government.
executor should.
Let me go
Be
on
the
the
One who
subject.
audits the government.
But that's his role is just oversight.
Honorable Mwaka
Let
Chivumbi
me
will
use
tell
my
you you
minutes.
don't even act on his reports.
When we talk about Coffee Development Authority, Uganda Coffee Development Authority, actually what we are doing away with is this thing authority. Uganda Coffee Development will go on unabated. And the debate I hear that UCDA is moving, why are they taking to government to the ministry?
But that's what it has been.
Where has it been? That's where it has been. You are talking about UCDA at Ginger
But
Road.
you address
Right in Rwanda.
you address
Has an
the
office
clauses in
there.
the law. The clauses in the law,
Who
the
is to do
critical
it? It
ones
is
are
you who is in
three.
the parliament.
No, the critical ones are three,
One.
and I want you to answer them.
One.
One is that you want to transfer the functions
Of
of UCDA
To?
to MAIF.
where has it? Where
No,
have
no,
they
no,
been?
that's a law.
Where have they been?
If they've been there, then where are you making a law?
We are streamlining the law.
No, no, where are you making the
The law
law?
is being
Where are you
streamlined.
bringing the law?
Number two.
The number two, dissolve UCDA.
Authority.
No, you develop UCDA as a living thing.
Yes.
Bury it, kill it forever. Eh?
We are not.
Yes. Now,
That is okay.
the other four
Uh-huh.
is among the functions, which he has read, and for me, which I never wanted to go into,
Say it.
is where the ministry now
Uh.
will get, and in the bill, it's not just export. The ministry is seeking powers to auction our coffee.
So they'll
It
set
is
up
in
an
the bill.
auction
No,
here.
please, it is in the bill.
Yes.
I'm ready. It is in the bill section 5, okay? Where the ministry, that's why I'm saying you haven't. Where the ministry is now going to have powers to auction.
Correct.
And that's where the big animal, the fear of Uganda is. In the event of auction of coffee, okay? You have a penalty, you have a Rwabogo, you have already signed an MOU with the Chinese Communication Construction Company. You are going to create a monopoly. The reason you were you were in Parliament. Banyenzaki, I joined Parliament when you were giving cabinet.
We have to bring this discussion to an end.
Let me remind him about the famous clause 9 in the oil bill. You remember it? Where the president threatened where the president vetoed the bill because we were saying that the body to give oil licenses should be in a professional body, not a government ministry. He said, why, how can, with you, yes, which you are chair, where you are chair, the president said, how do you legislate me out of the oil business?
The matters of
the same
coffee
thing
and
because of the
nationalization
weight
remain
for
important.
oil. It is happening.
So what I
We
can
want to
promise
steal
you,
people's coffee
we will
and
follow
cheat
this
them.
matter
about
even
it.
next week.
We have been
Unfortunately,
about
the time is not on our side and we have to end the show. So on behalf of the guests in studio
There is a
It's
number
not even a
in-
matter
and
of
Radio 1 FM
But
90,
we
we wish you a very good
the
weekend.
NYT in Kenya is